Until you start focusing on what matters most, you're going to be at the mercy of every single distraction that comes your way. And life likes to throw a lot of distractions at us. Instead of letting yourself go off track, focus on what you want to achieve in life by learning how to set smarter priorities for yourself. And today I'm sharing 5 ways to set priorities in life. So let's talk about priorities and mental health. Learning what your priorities are and then figuring out how to prioritize so you can focus on what matters most and let go of everything else can really help you to reduce feelings of stress and overwhelm and to achieve more of the things that feel satisfying and meaningful in life. So what are your priorities? What's really important to you? What kind of person do you want to be? These are quite possibly 3 of the most important questions that you can ever ask yourself because the answers help to guide you and your entire way of being, if you allow them to. So now let me ask you this. How often do you take the time to ask yourself those 3 questions? If it's less than every month, or at least every couple of months, then it just might be time to sit down and get in touch with what really, truly matters to you right now in your life. Unless you're clear about who you are and what's genuinely important to you, you'll likely find yourself just going wherever life takes you. I'm all for going with the flow. But when you do that, you have no control over where you end up. And if you don't identify what matters most to you, other people will do it for you. And that can be really damaging to your mental health and well-being in the long term. Now, you can never completely control fate, good luck trying, but you can certainly steer the ship in line with your priorities. Don't let life just happen to you, but instead create your life around your priorities. So what are priorities? They're the things that are most important to you and which matter most. We all have our own perspective of what that looks and feels like, but for many of us, it's our family, our pets if we have them, our friends, living a life that feels satisfying. Actually, those are 4 of mine, along with simplicity, because I really value living a simple life after years of living in chaos, both before and during my issues with anxiety and depression throughout most of the 2010s. So take a moment to think about this. What truly matters to you? And by truly, I mean to identify the things that hold the most value to you. And I'm always keen to hear what other people see as their priorities, so let me know your priorities in the comments below. So let's discuss why priorities matter. Setting priorities helps you to be crystal clear about who you are, who you want to be, and what actually matters to you. And then you can consciously choose to speak, think, act, and be in line with your priorities every single day. You won't get it right 100% of the time, trust me, but by being self-aware and patient with yourself, you'll find that it becomes second nature over time, and that's when growth happens. Working through your priorities isn't about creating some sort of ranking system for the things and people in your life either. It's not a competition, and there are no winners or losers. And it's also not an excuse to never try new things or just stay rigidly focused on only one goal, because if you do that, then you'll miss out on all of the surprising twists and turns that life has to offer. Very often, things will happen that may not seem in your best interests at the time, but later on, it might turn out to be just the thing that you needed to take you to the next step in your journey. So I'm a very firm believer in remaining aligned to your priorities while also keeping an open mind and an open heart. So let's talk about how to set healthy priorities for yourself, starting with make a list. And no, I'm not trying to get you to pretend you're Santa Claus with a naughty or nice list. I just want you to take a few moments to ask yourself what actually matters to you in your life and make a list of everything that pops into your head. Here's the thing though, when I say actually matters, it's a prompt for you to let go of all the stuff that we think we're supposed to care about and instead to really listen to your heart. Okay, next, reduce your list to your top 5. Yes, I know I said earlier that it's not about ranking your priorities, but it kind of is. Because there are so many different things in life competing for your attention. But if you have too many interests or commitments that are all so-called priorities, then you'll never have enough time for all of them. So really challenge yourself to pull the top 5 priorities out of your list so that you know what truly matters to you above all else. I meant what I said before about not ranking things, so please don't feel like you now have to decide whether your dog is more important than your sister, because that's going to be a really tough choice. The point here is to narrow your focus so you can give the bulk of your time and attention to what matters most. For example, I know that I always list those closest to me first and foremost on my list. And that's about recognizing that whenever I'm feeling challenged to think about what truly matters to me, it's always going to be those I love above anything else. Yes, my work matters, but it doesn't define me, and it's not at the top of my priority list. Okay, next, prioritize your well-being. For many of us, our priorities are connected to the people we love the most, which is great. But your priorities cannot be at your own expense. You need to be your highest priority, because if you don't look after you, who will? It's a cliche to say this, but it's like when they tell you on the plane to put your own oxygen mask on before you help others. You're not going to be able to help anyone if you're passed out because you didn't think to look out for yourself. Next, know that your priorities can and will evolve, because you're on a journey throughout your life, and what matters to you today may not matter tomorrow, and that's okay. I used to prioritize my work until I had a breakdown in late 2011, which eventually led me to being unable to work. And I had to figure out who I was without that thing that once defined me. That led me to eventually move from my home in Melbourne to the countryside, and now I live a completely different life to the one that I once did. Your priorities do not have to be set in stone for all of eternity. People change, and priorities change. And in fact, they're completely up to you. If you want to change your life, change your priorities. If something is important enough to you, you'll find a way. Okay, next. Refocus on your priorities daily. And by that, I mean to consciously start your day by reminding yourself of what actually matters, and then remind yourself of that list that you created earlier. And do that throughout the day. If it matters, then make it matter. If it doesn't matter, then it doesn't matter. So let it go, or at least give it a lot less attention than you might have in the past. What you focus on is what you focus on. So choose to focus on what really matters. I talk more about priorities in my book, Let's Talk About Mental Health Volume 1, which is available on Amazon and Apple Books, and it's linked in the episode description below. And once you know what truly matters to you, then you can focus on creating greater simplicity in your life, which is what I cover in this video, so watch that next to discover how to completely change your life by embracing simplicity. And find even more tips for getting your priorities in order in episode 3 of my podcast, Let's Talk About Mental Health, which is linked below. Thanks so much for joining me today. Take care and talk to you next time.